Welcome. This is the DNX Show. We're here every Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about domain name investing. There's two hosts of the show. My name is Todd Ryan. My co-host is Josh Reason. I'm on the West Coast. He's on the East Coast. Josh, how's everything going today?
It's going well, thanks, Todd. Good to be here.
Fantastic. Anybody want to check out our show outline, which it's a guideline. We try to, cover some of the topics. A lot of the topics from last week have carried over because a lot of more comments and posts and topics that I got from Josh's posts on X. And last week, you weren't here. We talked with Ryan Ewan. We'll talk about that a little bit. But if they want to check out the outline, they can go to dnxshow.com. That's our new website. Josh, did you check out our new website? Did you? Did you? Can't hear you. Thumbs up if you can hear him. Thumbs down if you can't. Bruce thinks it's funny. He just thinks it's funny. Okay, King's like, yeah, I think it's funny too. Okay. Arrow says, no, we can't hear you. He left. He's coming back. He probably, when you go from whatever it is, cellular, and then to your Wi-Fi.
Sorry, that's not my fault. It's when you go inside, it switches to Wi-Fi, and Elon hasn't figured out how to make that a seamless transition without the entire thing not working.
Right.
Because I guess he's not as good at tech as he thinks he is.
Right. Well, hey Josh, I was asking, did you see our new website, dnxshow.com?
No, I haven't looked. I haven't looked at it. I was just saying what I was saying was it's a shame that I missed Ryan last week, and he won't be jumping on this week because he deleted his Twitter now.
Yeah, and I mentioned that we'll go into that, but yeah, check out our website and check out my bio for you. You were supposed to approve it.
No, here we go. Here we
No,
go.
it's okay, but he'll. It's the last sentence. I want you to tell me if it makes sense.
Hosts.
But yeah, no, I put together a website for us, just really for the outline. So all this stuff is just around the outline. But we do, people search DNX Show. There's another show called the DNX Show, something. I think it's about automotive, something. I don't know. But there's also a Josh on there, I think. But we're starting to beat them anyway. They're a podcast too, I think. I mean, anyway, but we do show up when you check DNX Show. So
That's a good. I like that. I
okay,
like that.
yeah,
I like that description. I think that's fair.
yeah.
That last sentence is definitely fair. I'll give you that.
Yeah, thanks. And yeah, so you can check out our outline, and a lot of the stuff on there, Josh, was some things that I wanted to talk with you about last week. You weren't here. Ryan was here, and I told him, yeah, thank God, only one bread at a time. Woo, it was a lot. No, you mentioned, I was just saying before you got here. Well, why
I
get
think me
rid of
and
the
Ryan have
X?
very different personalities, though, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And but I can certainly see the interest. I mean, it would be interesting conversation because, and it is true, Brits have different personalities a little bit. I think, I mean, and I hate the broad brush, but it's cool. I mean, some of us, like it. I think, it's sort of like no filters, less BS, in my opinion. So I noticed that even with Leanne, just anyone that I speak to, that especially in the domain space. But so yeah, Ryan was really, I can tell he really admires how you domain, and he's got a lot of experience. You know that. I mean, he puts his money where his mouth is. I know because he spent hundreds of thousands, with me, and I don't even have a bunch of great stuff. But I know when he was putting together a lot of the four letters, a lot of them were mine. He had 20,000. It seemed like I only supplied him with like 1,500. But the point is, so yeah, I mentioned if he's going to just focus on TikTok and was it YouTube? Still, why wouldn't you have an X account just to put the link up there to say, hey, I know you guys want your content here, but you have to go to this link to get it. Seems to be me to be smart, but is that how you felt? Because you commented.
Yeah, 100%. I like Ryan. He's always says kind things about me, but he's taken a dramatic approach here.
Yeah, and in his videos too, he's lighthearted, but he's serious. It's not a, it's but I can tell, he likes to do it. And I like that he brings in the personal stuff too, about his personal experiences and his training and what he thinks is important. If you don't like his videos, you don't have to watch them, but it's mostly business. But I like that he tries to say, you got to be well rounded, and I'd like to, but of course, I just had a good relationship with him, still do, and I like him so, and I like his attitude. But yeah, but you guys definitely did two different, two different people altogether. But I would like you to be here. So we talked a lot about, well, can't even recall. I mean, it was mostly just about now. I was looking forward to. So he's got this new video series he's doing about you spend a little bit of money, but you can become a millionaire. And the last before he cut off was, I guess he's got a meeting. Was it today or yesterday with the CEO of Lamborghini? I guess to sell Lamborghini.com. Do you know, Josh, who owns Lamborghini.com? Is that in Ryan's portfolio, or are you aware of any of
Uh,
this Lamborghini stuff?
no, I mean the only Lamborghini stuff I'm aware of is Lambo.com.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that Lamborghini own Lamborghini.com, right?
yeah, they do. And that's why I was like, maybe I didn't catch all of his video, but he said he's got a
I think
meeting with.
maybe he was being. I think that he kind of treads the line between sarcasm and serious, and they get very closely mixed. So you're not really sure when he's joking and when he's not. But I think he may have caught you out with some sarcasm there.
Yeah,
Yeah, Todd, he's not. He doesn't own that name. He owns like Lamborghini floor mats, hyphen. He just came up with some bullshit. So he was just absolutely joking about that.
yeah. I knew he didn't own Lamborghini, but I couldn't tell if he owned something that maybe a new something that they would want, and so he probably didn't have a meeting with the guy. I own L.A. Lamborghini. Uh, I sold L.A. Hyundai for 5,000. Right now, I got a deal going through Spaceship. Sold something. You had an offer for 4,900, 48.88, 13 cents. I accepted it. Just doesn't seem like it's going to go through. I had the domain priced at 6,000. But hey, while you're here, Bruce, how are things going where you're at, Toronto?
Going great. I just launched my dream website yesterday. I launched MrBaseball.com. So
All
very
right,
excited
check
about
it
that.
out.
Just needed to plug it just now, and I'm just I built this all on my own. So I'm very excited about it.
Well, it's cool. Everybody loves the name Mr. Baseball, and what's his name? He's dead. Who was it? What was the guy's the funny guy? Euchre. Okay, so yeah, Mr. What a good looking website, and it's got scores. But anyway, no, if you're listening on replay, you reach out to Bruce if you're interested in partnering or strategic partnership, or even outright buying it if you can afford it. But what a great domain name, Mr. Baseball. Boy, it's a beauty, and it's baseball season. Well, if you look at our outline for us, very first thing I wanted to touch, I want to start knocking some of these out, Josh. That there were comments that you were making on X, and I got a ton of stuff I just wanted to go over. Not even that important, but still domain related. When I say not, the misinformation in the domain industry, there's lots of BS. Now, this was a couple weeks ago when you posted this, but I was just curious what made you post that? What BS crossed your path or in front of you, and you thought, too much misinformation in this space? What were you thinking?
I think it's just a accumulation of a lot of things that are just not true. There's some stuff that you can you can say, hey, take with a grain of salt, which is probably like, I don't know, 5% of all the sales that you see posted. But then there's other stuff that is just like not true. Just whether it be information on domain investing in general, like what's good, what's not good, or whether it be information around like who's doing what or what services provide. Just see constant stuff that people talk about things that they have no business talking about. That's it.
Yeah, I don't believe I'm always just skeptical. It's not that I'm a non-believer, but I've always just been, I don't know. I think people always want to make themselves look good. And when someone else is promoting a service, then they're not related to it at all. That holds a lot of weight with me because I think usually people aren't promoting stuff if they're not getting paid for it unless they really believe in it. And that's whether it's a restaurant or, just anything. But as soon as someone's getting paid or sponsored by it, I'm not mad at them, but I'm not one who holds much weight in what they say about it. So I agree so when people post sales on X, I don't, a lot of them, I don't know. I think people will go to links. I don't think they're probably 70% are real because I think most people are thinking I wouldn't post stuff. I don't want to be caught in a lie. But some people want to be part of the conversation, and you can really be part of it if you post a sale. We know, boy, you post a sale, you get a lot of interaction. Anything else really doesn't.
I mean, you don't have to be a genius to fake a sale, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure just about anyone in here is perfectly. If you're capable of registering a domain name, you're perfectly capable of faking a sale. It's really not that hard. Private every kind of registrar these days has who is privacy. I mean, it's one of the easiest things of all time. Pretty sure, like, all you have to do in order to Photoshop or create an image these days is type a prompt into ChatGPT. I mean, it's the easiest thing of all time. So you think people aren't faking sales? Yeah, I mean, it's a joke.
Yeah, especially if you want to act like you know what you're doing, you got to show that you made some sales. Otherwise, people aren't really interested in, I guess not just following you, but believing what you're posting. There's a lot of experts. Ever since I met Tony Names at ICA, seems like he's posted a lot less. And I know people go through phases of wanting to share. I was do these shows, so I don't want to share any sales anymore. I mean, more the reason I want to for my friends and colleagues, but I don't want to for the recordings and the AI scraping stuff, and then even not that I'm opposed to taxes. I don't want somebody to know that I sold this. More just using it as misinformation. But I don't know. I guess it's just a reason. Sometimes you go through years of, saying, here's what I've done total. Now I'm like, listen, I'm interested in what other people do. I was going to mention about, there was a topic, you might have seen it, Josh. Everybody always talks about all the big sales that aren't reported. And it's like, okay, we know people love to say that. Like I know about big sales that aren't reported, whether it's, friends that we know, or definitely the big brokers will always say that there's, you guys aren't aware. And I don't mind, I know it's the truth. We know there's probably 1-2% of sales are reported, which really, that's what keeps me mostly bullish on domain investing, is knowing there are sales that we see are reported, and it's just such a small fraction of what's really going on out there that, like I said, it keeps me motivated. But that said, I don't like, it seems like for years, the pompousness of, you guys don't know, there's 7-figure sales, 8-figure sales going on all day long up and down the motherfucking street, and you guys aren't aware of them because you're a fucking idiot. Excuse my language, but sort of come off that way sometimes, that you're not familiar with it, only us few that are part of this group or us that do these big transactions. So I chimed in one time, this was a couple weeks ago, because I don't know who was mentioning it. It was either David or Michael Costello, which I like these guys. They're consider Michael a friend. Lives near me. Yeah, I said, yeah, but no one ever talks about these single word names that have been around for 25 years, never got a good offer, but yet the owner considers it a 7-8 figure name. There's just many more of those than of the unreported sales. That's just, I wanted to say, to start an argument, to say, what about all the unreported, sales that is because these single word, these great names, even if it's a two letter, 3 letter, never had a reasonable offer on it in 25 years. Just there's a lot of that. I don't know what my point is here, but do you agree with me, Josh, that yeah, there is an awful lot of great domain names that have never had reasonable offers, and that's reason it's usually because the owner thinks overprices them, but sometimes um, that's just how it is. It can be a great 4, 5, 6 letter word and just has never received a reasonable offer from companies that you would think would the big companies that would like it. Well, that's a long way to get
Yeah,
to them.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely correct. Yep. Great name. There's some great names don't have, you know, some names in your portfolio that you think are great don't get offers, and others that you don't think are great do get offers. It's just the
Yeah,
unpredictable nature of this business in some cases.
yeah, and the reason I wanted I brought that up is because I just was like I said, it seems like people always putting their finger on the scales of all these things that aren't reported. You guys are just missing. I'm thinking, yeah, but no one wants to say I've owned these fucking great names for I registered them, and no one's ever wanted to buy them for anything more than 20 grand, 30 grand, and these are names that I strongly believe are high six figures, low seven figures. And it's like, are they though? Are they really, if no one's really wanted them? But guys will argue they absolutely are, and there will be a time when somebody will pay that big price. And it's like, fuck, okay, but I'm just saying, for 25 years, 30 years, that hasn't happened. Now will it be 40 years or 50 years? But it's weird. Arif, what comment did you have on that?
Hey guys. Yeah, I mean, pretty much after I put my hand up, you kind of said the same thing I am. I used to share almost everything, like 90% of my sales at least when I was doing the Zooms, right? Now it's like, what's AI scraping? I don't know. I'm kind of in a, 2 weeks ago I was here. Josh asked me some of my sales. I said some of them. Yeah, but now I'm just kind of like, I'm not too sure how it's going to turn out with AI. What information is going to be taken, what's not. So I'm in a standby phase a little bit when it comes to that. But when it comes to actually like on the other side of things and looking at the sales, like, I mean, I see stuff on Twitter all the time, but same like Josh said, I take it with a grain of salt. Like, I don't really trust anything. It's not that I don't trust it. It's just that I don't really make my judgments around it, because first of all, even if you look at the sales, you don't know what that person's sell-through rate is, right? You can have one-off sales and it looks great, fantastic, but if your portfolio of similar domains isn't profitable, then it's like you shouldn't follow that person. And without that information, it's like, well, yeah, you don't really act on it that much. I mean, yeah, individual sales data does help. It's not nothing, but at the same time, also, as you're saying, like, some of it's fake, some of it's not. There's a handful of people in this industry where I absolutely trust them. Like you guys, I trust. There's other people who they post something and they share something. It's like, I know it's true, right? Just because I know them long enough that they can't be bothered with taking the time to put up fake information, right? But I also do know in the past there's some people who've lied about who they are and what they do and all kinds of stuff too. So we got to be a little bit careful. But at the end of the day, like, there's very few decisions I make based on what other people do, right? There's certain people that I will look at, and like Josh is a great example. Like, he does the work. So like that for me, I look up to him because like I'm a little bit lazy, that kind of stuff. Also, the type of stuff I buy is a little bit lower in acquisition cost and a little bit more volume in terms of names I'm looking at. So it doesn't make as much sense for me to do as much research as he does when he's buying domains for 4 and 5 figures, right? But at the same time, I still learn a lot from it, and there's still stuff that applies. But again, it's a source that I trust because over the years he shared enough information that I know it's true, right? And there's not a lot of people out there, who really have a consistency of sharing information to the point where it's like, yeah, you can just take it for granted that it's true.
Since we're on the topic, Josh, I was there was a, like, who can we trust in this space? And I noticed, Arif, I think you mentioned it. There was somebody else that mentioned it the other day. They bring up Mike Mann a lot because they're thinking, he's got this big portfolio. Is he really profitable? And he may have had a big exit, I mean, years ago, and maybe maybe he could be a break even on the domain market, his current portfolio. But the point is, I do like that Mike shows up at events. I mean, he was down at the South Florida meetup, and I know he probably talks to people, and you get a feel if you have speak with him, where is how much bullshit he has. I think we're all full of shit a little bit. But today he posted he thought Voice.com sale was fake. He basically said he's 90% certain, which means he doesn't know it all. But he said because it was a couple crypto people that bought and sold, and he just felt like it was fake because I guess that was right. What's the guy's name? Michael. Last name begins with an S. The big timer at that company that owns all the Bitcoin. Michael. What's that last name?
Hello?
What?
Sailor?
Sailor. Yeah, Sailor.
Sailor?
Uh, anyway, well, Voice.com. You think that was a legitimate deal?
I don't know, probably. That's the thing. There's always one-offs, right? And it's like, in addition to stuff you don't trust, it's also, the one-offs. That's why I say you got to take it with a grain of sand unless you know the sell-through rate of similar domains.
I don't think you have to take voice.com with a grain of salt. GoDaddy literally brokered the deal.
Oh, did they? Oh, okay, so there you go. That's the answer.
Yeah, GoDaddy literally brokered the deal.
That's the answer. There's a lot of things like I frustrated with GoDaddy, but honesty isn't one of them. They say something, I'm going to believe like 99% of the time it's either what it is or
Yeah, I mean they're a publicly traded company as well. So
yeah, exactly. But I mean, even then, it's like okay, but it's a one-off. Like these things happen, and you can't base your whole thing on just one sale here or there. But at the same time, it's it's still a pretty big sale.
Saying the voice.com sale 90% sure is fake is not quite, but nearly as absurd as saying that all of Sweth's .xyz sales are fake.
100%.
Imagine if those two things came from the same source, that would be wild.
Yeah.
Well, Swetha actually did open her account to there's people who looked at her Afternic account, right? Like, I mean, I don't know how much more transparent you can be.
Michael Sumner logged into her account, her Afternic account. But again, maybe it's GoDaddy, huh? That's the common source here.
But here's the thing too: is like there could be a lot of fake, especially earlier on, XYZ sales, right? But the two things aren't necessarily true at the same time.
Do you know which TLD has the most fake sales for sure?
Which one? Oh yeah.
What was that answer? .com?
Yeah,
because the volume. Yeah,
it's just by volume, right? It's just like
yeah. So like, what are we talking? Like,
that's because there's so many more .com transactions. So we know that, but I mean, percentage-wise, I was going to get. We know when they talk about like domain abuse, it's like I forget .fi or .fc or s some crazy country code that now that has more per capita. Let's say
there was one CCTLD that was public and it was almost free or free. Was it? No, I forget what it was now. It was an Asian country. I don't remember what, but that was a problem. It was free, so obviously there was abuse. Same thing. .xyz in the early days, like all those $1 sales, like there's all kinds of spammers that use them. .xyz especially for email was a joke. They were all blacklisted, right? The extension itself was blacklisted on a lot of the email stuff, and over time it kind of moved over. And like between me and you, 10 years ago, I think .xyz was a really bad investment, but .xyz got a little bit lucky because the crypto guys.
I think it was a great investment.
I don't know. I think that it got big because of the crypto people. So the crypto crews, whatever, came into something else. But again, these things happen, right? Was XYZ more likely than others? I don't know. I wasn't paying attention because for me, XYZ was a joke because of the email stuff. But again, I don't know everything on it. Anyways, I don't know. What were you thinking about? Why was it good? Do you think?
Well, it's not a think. I know it was good because Sweth is like the richest Indian in the world.
Yeah, but that only kicked in around 2018, 2019 when the crypto people came in and came on it. If the crypto people didn't come in on that, XYZ would never have taken off as it did. And again, I'm not dissing that because the crypto money, it's real money, right? The people who have tons of like, if you have an audience for your product, and that audience is like super rich.
We can't live our lives on if that happens then and if this didn't happen, it's like it happened. It was a great investment. It's like if AI never took off, then .ai would have been a bad investment.
Yeah, but AI is AI, right? XYZ isn't necessarily
crypto is crypto.
Yeah, but XYZ isn't like, I mean, I don't know. Predicting that is, I don't know. If there was a reason for that prediction, then I'm wrong, right? But I think the crypto crew that came in and latched on to XYZ in the early stages to really help it grow, I don't know what that association was. I thought it was just luck that they came on to XYZ. Or maybe it was hard work by the registry, right? People like to diss the registry for certain things.
Yeah,
We know he did a lot of promotion.
I think that there are people that want to probably want to like create hype for certain TLDs and create like somewhat questionable transactions where they're probably, and sometimes they even like sell it to themselves. I would say sell it to another entity that they own and pretend to build it out and
Yeah, and
put a
oftentimes there's a lot
website
of
on it. People go pretty far. There's a
and
few things that come to mind, especially with, I mean, and I think someone posted today, when you start seeing that sales have, 100% of them are not developed, and then you find out that they all sold to an investor, I would definitely be wary of that too.
yeah. It's like, it's also you don't really know where it's going and what the actual truth is. But I mean, for me, I've more than half my sales have never resolved, right? And it's .coms mostly, so it's that argument isn't a real thing. It's, I'm not selling to people who have
If 100% of the TLD's reported sales don't resolve, that's a red flag.
Yeah, 100% for sure. But I mean, you're going to have, especially in the lower transaction dollar amounts, that percentage is going to be lower and lower, right? And especially if you go down to 3 figures. I mean, a lot of people just buy them because they thought one day I'm going to build them out. I became a domain investor because I had too many domains I was holding that I was going to build out one day that I never started building out. So it's like, well, what do? I got to start looking at maybe thinking of selling some of them. That's how most of us get into this industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to
But
talk.
there've been waves of it. Like, I mean, like, look, there was .ws. There's even the blockchain names, all that stuff. A lot of times, it's not even deception. A lot of times, the people who are building the hype truly believe the hype themselves. They don't really understand the market and all it is, but they just want to believe, and all they do is share and share and share in hopes that they'll get enough people to believe them that it becomes true, right? And again. Yeah, it's not that they're trying to lie; it's that they're lying more to themselves, but it hurts the industry overall.
Being a TLD maxi is anyone's number one error. If you're investing in domains and trying to push the narrative of a single TLD, you got to check yourself.
Yep, I agree 100%. On that thought, let's go big on .horse, everybody.
Well, when you run a registry too, just like I was saying, any business, people get real aggressive when they're early on in business. Some don't, but a lot of them do. And I'm thinking of even in whether it's the film business, or a lot of people, they'll sort of infringe, use rights of songs that they don't really have, the money to pay for. They'll do certain things that, when I say aggressive, basically infringing on others, or they'll misrepresent a little bit. They'll come up, we're talking about fake sales. They'll do things, and then when the ball gets rolling, then of course they start doing things in a legitimate fashion. So first you shoot a film with no permits, and then once you get a film deal with the studio, now of course you're going to do everything, with the union and do everything by the book. That's not uncommon for businesses that have been, run that way a lot, meaning they'll do, whether it's, a newspaper fucks with its competitors, does some nasty things to get market share. And then once they have made room for themselves, then of course they go legitimate. I say that because, a lot of the, say an extension like .xyz, well, anyway, the guys running the registry, of course they're going to promote it, and they're going to think, well, for one, ours is pretty good because it's generic. I mean, .xyz is really just, it doesn't lend itself to anything specific, so it can be really an open vessel, or it can really be adopted by any industry. And then they were trying to get, I would guess, trying to get certain industries to really adopt it and use it. And then they ended up getting some use out of Web3 and out of crypto. And that ended up being a hot area, and it worked out. So somebody that was, it makes me think, Arif, of when, how would anybody know those Chinese were going to, that's just a crapshoot. The Chinese were going to want to pay for those short 3 and 4 letter domains. Well, that was the whole idea that, yeah, somebody's going to want short keystrokes, and they're going to use them for, they're going to start, even using them for a store of value, even if it meant not necessarily laundering money, but putting money in assets that they, and then even if it fell apart, even if they couldn't maintain that, to me. So it's like when that happened, I felt like, yeah, a lot of us did pick, or we did call exactly that. We knew that there was going to be interest in short names, from, hopefully somewhere around the world. I guess the point is, people are like, how could you call that? Well, it's a big long shot, but it's almost like with the .xyz. Those folks there that run in the registry are thinking, well, it's a long shot, but we know our main guy is a hustler. He's going to fucking market this in so many different ways. XYZ is sort of an open vessel extension, which is also another advantage. And like we said from the guy that runs the thing, he's never going to give up. Not only is he creative, but he's really going to stick with this. So even through some of these marketing, um, um, some of the things that we didn't like, the 99-cent names, and getting them added to our accounts when we didn't want them, but basically sticking with it. If somebody's going to really never give up on the extension, that really means a lot. And I think about, anyway, the registries, they're always going to promote their own stuff, and as us investors, we got to think, all right, is there really something there? I mean, is there really something there? We see, I could come up with some extensions. I don't want to, bring them up, that, it's really not investable, but you do see I wanted to just jump topics. I saw Adam was here, and I wanted to say, Adam posted something about stagehand.com went for like 42 grand. And I liked that he was being swarmy. Anyway, he said that somebody said that's way overpriced, and he said, yeah, I hope their kids like it, because they're gonna die with it and have to leave it to their kids. Sound like something I would say. But anyway, stagehand 42,000. I guess for an end user, some people were saying, I've never heard that phrase at all. Okay, well, you're not in theater. I mean, a stagehand is a person that helps out. I don't know the official definition. I just know from, going to the theater. Stagehand is somebody who, hey, it's like a production assistant on a movie. Okay, we need some help over here. Bring the fucking ladder, the lights out, or helping with it, really anything with regards to. So it's really someone helping a live production, or even doesn't. But
It's
okay,
not a horrible, yeah, it's not a horrible domain for AI sort of related product. I probably wouldn't be the first tier, but it's very high second tier, I think.
yeah. But 42 grand, Josh. What were your thoughts when you saw that? I mean, all right, somebody wanted it, but is that more closer to end user price than wholesale price?
Yeah, I wouldn't touch it at that price.
Yeah, it's deep.
Not even close.
Yeah, and
When I saw that, I thought it was low end user. I thought it was end user pricing, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, low
But
end user pricing.
and end user, that's a great price for end user if you're going to use it like for something AI related or whatever it is. But yeah, wholesale, yeah, it's high.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to some friends yesterday about the auctions this year. I just wanted to get a pulse on what people are buying and what their best name was that they picked up at auction so far this year. And we're almost 4 months going into the fifth month of the year, and yeah, pretty bad. Like nobody really has picked up anything of, I would say, high quality. Um, so my take on it is that the auctions are slim pickings at the moment, real slim pickings. If you're trying to build a premium portfolio and you're only looking in the auction space, you're going to be hard pressed, and you're going to have to pay up for the good names when they come up because there's so few of them.
Yeah, I guess that'll be good for pricing. Hey, I invited Samit and Paul up here because we were talking about the Indian market earlier, and I thought they had some comments about when you said Swetha's the richest Indian. We know you're just kidding, but still, these guys own a lot of .in names, and boy, for another, I was saying an Indian, Swetha, investing in .xyz, she selected that over the .in. Right now, it looks like she's made the right choice, but maybe the jury's still out. Simon, what comment did you have about the topics we've touched on?
Um, I'll start with your Josh's statement that .com has the most fake sales. It's true. The whole industry started with UNIA. Nobody knows who UNIA is, but we let that slide. As far as TLDs go, I think XYZ was well marketed. You might consider it uh, unethical, but capitalism is unethical to a large extent. So the stuffing of the free XYZs and whatever they did, the minute it got adopted by the Web3 crowd, crypto, NFTs, etc., it was a winner. What I think Shweta has done, it's a new TLD, probably won't fly, but she did very well with it. The registry, which honestly at her level, it would make sense, is that she has no premium renewals. Maybe she's paying upfront for the premium renewals because that is possible. We've seen it with other domains. In fact, Paul has a couple where he's paid upfront to not have premium renewals, upfront over and above the cost of the domain. So that's possible. As far as .in is concerned, it's a foundational investment. So more than 50% of websites in India are already .in, .co.in mostly. Mostly .in, but .co.in has a place in the sun, maybe about 10% of the market. But it's a foundational thing. It's a growing economy. It's a local domain. Um, there is 1.4 billion. I know people say that 1.4 billion is irrelevant, but let's assume, say, 7% or 10% of the people actually are capable of buying or have the money to buy a domain name. That's still 140 million people. Will they pay the same rates as .com? No, probably not. But considering what most of us have acquired the names for, I mean, the bot.ai just sold for 1.2 million. I own bot.in. I bought it on open auction with Sedo for like a few thousand. There is no comparison to the prices today. And honestly, I've already taken out. But what I'm trying to say is that today you can't get the top tier .ins for the most part. You get these low level sales. At one point, .in went crazy because the Chinese entered the .in market. So three character, 3 number .ins, 4 number .ins, all were sold out. And the prices were ridiculous. I know someone who turned down $2 million for 1,000 3 number .ins. I mean, now he regrets it, but he could have cashed out. So it's like the NFT thing, if you had cashed out at the top of it, you'd be gold. But so long term, I'm not really worried about .in because for me, it's in any case a development play. I know I can develop enough sites or create enough ad locations. It's a national level play. It is nothing like the .us. It's more, in fact, like the .de or .co.uk, com.au, where the local market really uses .in for everyday commerce. And in that sense, the cost of a domain name as compared to standard advertising channels available in India today, um, it's dirt cheap. One billboard in a city in the main, like not even the top end market, but say where you have good area kind of thing, you're talking about almost $4,000 a month. And if you keep it up for like a couple of months, and then most campaigns will go into 200 billboards, 500 billboards, on a national level thing. This is a national level advertising opportunity, which is, I mean, it's peanuts on the dollar. It's not even funny. And it's not that .in doesn't have sales. Most sales are not reported. 2022, I think, was the last year, and everyone reported their sales. and DN Journal had, I think, 5 or 6 of them, and the top one was 64,000 or something for TZ.in, and they've been good sales, like 15, 20,000, 40,000 is normal. So it's not that these sales don't happen. In fact, recently also, the same company that picked up Temple and all these domains, Temple and Nugget and all that, Nugget.com, Temple.com, they also picked up District.in for a local business. And I think that was a decent sale. I don't know the exact numbers, but because this whole thing is quite opaque, the .in market. But those who have domains are not really worried there. And in fact, I know 2, 3 people who are doing 6 figures a year on selling .in domains. So the market is there now. It's a question of, now the registry said that okay, you have to have some reason for buying the .in. So you have to give a declaration. But the declaration is, at least what's been issued by some other registrars, is like, I want to market to the Indian market. Okay, that's a good declaration. I want to. It's not even, I don't even have the existing customers. I eventually want to market, which is exactly why you buy .in domains. You're not looking at. I mean, there are Indonesians and people in Indiana and all that who are buying .in, but that's not the primary market. The primary market is the Indian market, and that's huge. As far as the other TLDs are concerned, like .ai, yes, it was a natural. I didn't see it in 2017. Plus the carrying cost was $100 a year or somewhere around there that time also. It's a major investment. Even what Shweta did with XYZ, she started with 500 domains. She didn't start with 20,000 domains. She started with 500. She was selling them for a few $100s for a long time. And then when she had success, that's when she started doubling down on it. I'm guessing she reinvested all her sales back into .xyz, and it's paid her off beautifully. I think she's done a few $1 million, $7 million in sales, which is phenomenal. Radix is one of the companies that has really taken the new GTLDs thing by the horn. XYZ, of course, but Radix has .tech, .site, these kind of domains. And what they've done is they've engaged actively with the startup ecosystem. And they've been giving names, they've been sponsoring startup events. In fact, they used to do CloudFest, they moved out of that completely and they started doing all these startup events. And that has led to adoption. And if you actually see the adoption curve, their extensions, they don't do these $1 promos, they don't do account stuffing and all that. The growth has been slow and steady over the years. And now I think they have 3 or 4 in the top 10. So that's a brilliant strategy. Now, how many of other TLDs will be able to emulate it? I don't know. I remember meeting Paul and someone else from Donuts back in the day, 2017 or 2016. And they said, oh, we are not going to market our TLDs. That's ICANN's job. ICANN does not want to sit around and market your TLDs. ICANN has given you the license to print money. Now it's up to you to go and print it. You still have to promote your TLDs. I spoke to a few registry operators here in India this time, last month, during ICANN 85. I don't see that urgency to promote their TLDs. They're like, yeah, it'll happen. Okay, case of Identity Digital, which was Donuts, they've got 220 odd TLDs. So I'm pretty sure there's enough sales all around, plus all this premier tier pricing. It's not a game for domain investors. It's at the registry level. They've basically cut out the middleman. $5,000 a year. There is .1. The premium names are $6,600 a year. The lowest premiums are $660 a year. That means if you look at TCO, total cost of ownership over, say, a 10-year period, the cheapest premiums are $6,600. Where is the space for investors in that? And 66,000 for the most expensive ones. It's a market is there. Now it's a question of how much gets converted, who uses what is accepted. One thing is there that Gen Z is, I wrote about the extension and being an extension agnostic back in 2008. Gen Z now is completely extension agnostic. That's why you see .funds and whatever.
Well, you said a lot, Samit. I want to go to Paul and then Ish, but I wanted to make a quick comment, and that is, okay, first, there's an AI summit going on right now in Anguilla that I just learned a client of mine is attending, and I was like, that sounds interesting. Look forward to it. But right, ICANN is certainly not going to promote extensions. They would never do that in a million years. One, they want to seem to be neutral with regards to all of these extensions, and it certainly is the registry's job to promote it. But we haven't really seen someone. XYZ is probably the closest, um, and I would say a registry promoting an extension and it actually, them seeing some results from their marketing. Because AI and .com, the two that seem to have caught on, AI seemed to be a fluke. I look forward to hearing what's coming out of this summit and how much Anguilla is planning to spend, on marketing, continuing to market it, and that cost, the renewal, the 2-year minimum, that really does affect domain investing. AI very little. We'll talk about .io in a little bit because that's the reason why I'm dropping .ios because of the renewal rates. But anyway, yeah, certainly registry responsibility. Hey, Paul, thanks for joining us. What comment, question did you have?
What's going on, gentlemen? Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Perfect. Great show as always. I just wanted to quickly chime in. Yeah, .in, we're still waiting for a Heyday Summit I and the rest of the .in investors. But Josh, you mentioned something a little bit earlier, and I agree with you 99% of the time. But when you mentioned about not being a TLD maxi or kind of founding upon that, some of these guys have hit the jackpot. The people that got in early on .io, AI, these people they hit the jackpot. So sometimes it does pay off being a maxi in that sense because by the time this thing hits, it's too late. I thought it was when the .ai start popping, I guess almost a year and a half ago. I thought it was too late then, and I was wrong. I think I could have probably gotten in and maybe landed some 3 letters at decent prices. But even now, who knows what the future holds? And there could be another TLD that's just a random country, to that all of a sudden it becomes a popular, there's an acronym that comes out that's really popular that all of a sudden just takes off. So
That's exactly why you shouldn't be a TLD maxi. I
yeah,
don't give myself much credit but um, I've done very well on .ai, .io, .co, .xyz. I'm talking like 6-figure sales, multiple, um, and lots of 5-figure sales. I mean, probably $1 million in like in each of those extensions. So that's what I mean by it. I mean that if I was a maxi on .io, I might have missed .ai. And, if I was a maxi on both of those, I might have missed .xyz, but I didn't. I recognized that there was extreme value in all of them, and I bought all of them early. So that's kind of what I mean by that.
got you. I took it the wrong way. Makes sense. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, just
What
up
was Stagecoach or Stagehand? What was the price on that, by the way? I missed the price.
42K, I think.
What was
42,000.
42K? 42,000.
Yeah, but there's opportunities in every extension, right? As I think it was you or somebody who said, the real challenge is that for a lot of them, the premium renewals and premium pricing, it basically takes our the middle part that we can buy low and sell high. It makes it much more of a challenge, but it doesn't make it impossible. Right? You just have to be a lot more finicky and a lot more picky about which ones you acquire and realize, okay, who are the possible buyers for these. This is the type of stuff where you got to do the work. Like you can't be lazy like me or just like buy stuff on the whim. It's like, no, you have to look and go to LinkedIn, like Josh always says, and go, are there buyers for this domain, right, or for this keyword, right? And if it doesn't make sense for the extension, like there's very few extensions out there where there's zero opportunity, but it all comes down to what you can acquire, what you acquire them for, what your holding costs are, right? And
Yeah, I also recognize the fact that not everyone has the same capacity to do the same thing as other individuals, regardless of who that might be, right? Some people might literally just need to focus on one thing because when they expand the horizon too much, they lose track or they lose um focus on the things that matter within that area. So not everyone is the same. it's not a one size fits all thing, but um, yeah, I mean, all I say and all I really mean is that if you're not open minded, you're missing out.
How about
Yeah,
you,
you know,
Fred?
one of the reasons I got so bullish on .in is because I felt like I really needed to be the king of something, as opposed to being like the jack of all. And and I don't know if I am, but I feel like I have maybe like in the top 20 portfolios of .ins. So that was kind of, and that's the reason I just continued to believe. You're just continue to believe in the extension, and yeah, I mean it's paid off in the sense of whether it's paid off or not is a 10x enough, is paying off all your renewals for the next 10 years, is that profit to you? It all depends on what the mindset is. So yeah, anyway, yeah, great show, keep on.
I
At the
want to
end
get,
of the
hold
day,
on. I want to
at the end
get
of the day,
to
it's profit
Ish,
matter.
Arif. But before that, I want to say, but Paul's saying that a lot of us domain investors completely understand. You want to have really skin in the game. He wants to be a big part of .in. That's how I want to do it with the 4-letter. I hope it pans out. I don't know if it will, but I want to. Or when I bought a certain section of names, I buy 500. You want to have skin in the game, and many domain investors certainly feel that way. And then you're like, it's sometimes it's risky, because if you are able to take a big portion, register a lot of names in a certain area, that means they were available, or you're acquiring them, means it's probably a bigger risk, but still. Like I said, you want to have, like skin in the game. Hey, Ish, thanks for joining us and being patient. What comments did you have? Like Ish must have bailed. Maybe he's having a bad connection. Then he'll get back up here. Arif, what comment were you gonna say?
I don't know. I was just thinking, there's opportunity everywhere. Well, I forget now. There was something else before with Swetha, just for the XYZ, just for context. Most of her purchases were prior to the premium pricing. So she got like regular renewals for even great names, and those renewals were grandfathered. So her cost of holding good XYZs is lower than it would cost us coming into it. The other thing I wanted to say,
That's
A
not
lot of
true. That's not true. I mean, I buy standard renewal.xyz's
oh yeah,
always.
yeah. Yeah, I'm not saying it's not true the other way around, but I'm just saying for her, like she sold a lot of premium stuff that today would have had premium renewals, but she's paying like the $8 a year for it. So there is a bit of an
Yeah,
advantage there. But yeah,
you're saying that she was able to hand register premium stuff when it was like $8 renewals.
or there were premium prices on it. Yeah.
Were there premium prices on it at that time when she was
No, that's what I'm
buying?
saying. No. So what I heard at one point when she was up to 20,000 XYZs in her portfolio, there was only one domain that she had premium renewals on. So, but we're
Yeah.
going back more than five to 7 years. Like when she was buying XYZs, from my understanding, on Name Pros, like in 10 years ago at this point. So there was no premium pricing. I don't know when they brought it in. It was around I don't know 2020 plus or minus a year. I don't know exactly
If
when.
she wrote a book, it would be a good book, because people can either believe it or not. But still, did she have a lot of 10-year renewals, or that she renewed? But anyway, if Swetha wrote a book, and she really should, to say, "Hey, I'm a domain investor, different experience, different extension than most." But anyway, Ish, thanks for getting back up here. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Domain family? No, I just wanted to just touch on a few points. I think it's you definitely get rewarded for foresight, and I love what Josh said about not being, a maxi for one extension, but you also have to be very careful about selection bias. I think Submit and Paul might be suffering from that. They're Indian. They love .in. I've heard the same narrative about billions of people, but we don't see no sales. So you guys need to, reevaluate that. It could easily be selection bias. I'm also American. Yeah, there's a lot of Americans. There's UK. You know what I mean? Like all that doesn't mean shit if the domain doesn't catch fire, the extension doesn't catch fire. So you could have the vision, but if it doesn't, if that narrative doesn't comes to real life, then you owe it to yourself to say, hey, maybe I should cut back on this narrative. But the reason I came up on stage was this question is for the host, Todd. Todd, we all want to know, and I want to know,
About
what the
Dick.
hell are you building with
I'm joking.
Dick.com?
I
The
got
people
two.
want to know,
I know
man. You
people want
gotta
to know.
tell us.
Well,
I
actually,
want to know. I want to know too. Actually, that's a great point.
well, you're
Ish.
gonna have to ask me privately. I might tell you, and I might tell you, Ish, when I see you in person. But I'm really two different paths. I'm not gonna go into them, but two different reasonable paths that make sense on that domain. And I know people are like, "Geez, to me, it's just a great name." And some people were really close to meaning, Dick in the old days was a private investigator, so you can let your imagination run wild on uh, sites. Well, I'll give some things away, about background checks, um, certain types of uh, tools used in that sense for security. But sure, I know everyone, it's easy to remember a name. And I know, of course, people are going to think Dick, you know, um, I guess, going to think porn. I love that Rick was putting, yeah, not, and you're right, Ish. I saw you post about you'd like to have been on the call. There was a talk that, Rick's like, Todd, what are you going to do with Dick? And of course, he was serious too about don't fucking build a site around me. And I was like, oh, come on. Anyway, there's plenty of things to do with it. I think it's one of the most valuable names in his portfolio, frankly. He's got some big ones, but just short, I'm the four-letter Dick, King. And I wanted to really, take that down. And I love the whole idea of as working on it, if something happens and it sells, yeah, I get a piece of the action. That's part of the deal. Plus, I love being part of the Founders Club. Really going to, there's some things we can build on it that would sort of delay being a revenue generator, and there's some things that we can do that can immediately start generating revenue. But what do I really, want to do with it? And then there aren't really restrictions. Basically, you're just partnering with Rick on one of his names, and you do have to consider that. But I will
I
say,
have a question for
yeah,
you,
yeah,
Todd,
yeah.
because like I think that everyone in the domain industry has a mutual interest in wanting everyone involved to succeed. I think I certainly really want you to succeed in a big way. Um, but I do think that there is you know, there's 18 founders, right? I would say, I believe at this time. Um, Rick says using over $100 million worth of domain names, and the goal is to prove that domain names are extremely valuable, one of a kind asset that can take your business to the next level. So the success portion that's what this would prove. But um, you know, I guess you got to. For me, I always look at both sides of the equation. So what happens if all of them fail? Does that mean that the opposite is true, and that domain names are not valuable? Because that's what that's kind of like how I would look at it, and that's not a way that I would want to, but I think that a lot of people will look at it that way.
Well, Josh, I'm with you 1,000% because I'm always thinking, and when I say I'm with you 1,000%, I mean I understand what you're saying, and I've always felt that way that I could come up with millions of examples. Literally, of the company had the great domain name. It didn't make them successful. It was like you had a great title of a book. The book sucked. Okay, so if all these fail, and I think that's probably even more likely than it's like having a bunch of numbers. It's more likely that there's probably not even going to be one success story out of it. And then, of course, we're going to decide what's the success story.
That's a real issue
Well, they're going
in
to
my
say
in my
the
opinion.
guys didn't know how to build, including they're going to say all those guys that Rick partnered with. So then it's either going to be all the people that took on this challenge just didn't know what they were doing. That they'll blame it on those guys because they never blame it on the domain names. And to me, I'm like, I already know I'm successful. Listen,
Well, but
I
that's the thing. But this is exactly my point. Is like if you're going to say that the success of this project is because of the domain names, then the opposite could also be true.
I don't think it's quite the same thing. I mean, I think if it succeeds, then it's maybe even a new potential demand for domains. But I think
No, success would be success would that's what I mean. Everyone wants this to be successful
yeah,
because
yeah.
it would be extremely positive for
But
domain names.
what,
But
what,
then the opposite you have to consider will have an opposite effect.
just think it's a different demand. The demand for domains, again, for it's every category is a little bit different, but for domains I sell, it's because somebody already has a pre-existing idea and they want to match that with a domain,
100%.
as opposed to
100%.
the other way around.
But
So
but are you saying that there's not this narrative that goes around that a domain will give you is a business in a box and it will give you everything that you've ever needed, and domains create businesses, and I hear that a lot.
I don't think it's ever been the case.
Well,
I
no,
think
no.
a good
What I mean
domain will
that's
impact
Rick's
your business.
Arif. That's Rick's whole thing. Is you get a name like this, you got a seat at the table. You already got a head start. You're going to save in marketing.
Exactly.
You're already way ahead of the game. So yes, and I agree
What
with
I'm trying to
Josh
say is
that
that
yeah, the buck should be if the name is going to be what's going to make it successful. Which to me it's not at all. So I'm like fucking I can do anything that I would do with Dick. And but what the name I party to is different than most all the rest. All the rest to me immediately come to mind what you would build on it. Okay. It definitely, whether it's even property, some of these real attractive ones, but definitely breakfast bars. What are you going to do? I mean,
well,
so
what I'm trying to say is the business plan that's coming in from people buying domains after coming up with their business plan. The business plan is going to be stronger, more viable. The people behind it be more serious. It's not that it can't be done the other way around, right? But I'm just saying it's a different market because you're going with the domain and trying to build it out. But the other way around, you have somebody who already has a very strong business concept, strong enough that they've dreamt of it, they've thought about it, and now they're on board to go to the next step and going with domains.
you
So
just
that
said
business
half your
plan
names
is
aren't even
more
built out,
strong.
and
Can
ones
I
that are
can I
built
can I
out doesn't
chime
mean
in?
that they're successful. Hold on, Ish, I'll let you go. I was going to say because even though
No,
people knew
yeah.
I want this name, I bought it from Arif's portfolio for $2,500. Well, motherfucker, it still doesn't mean it's a successful business. Show me one
It's
that
not.
really is, busted out. So
It's
just
talking probabilities, right? The chances are and the strength of a business plan, somebody coming business plan first, is much stronger on average than somebody going with the domain first and going
well, I
backwards,
think it has
especially.
to do with the person first. To go, even if you don't have a business plan, if you're a
Exactly.
business person and you successfully built out websites, and then someone says, "Here's a challenge. I got a pitch. I'm going to go to Ish. I'm going to pitch." You go to domainescrow.com. Listen, I've been working on. That's just one of the things I've been working on. But we're better than escrow.com. Better pricing, better service, better efficiency. We're already doing transactions, but there is really a lot to it. But I would say check it out if you just want to check out our fee calculator, or how you would over at escrow when they do the start a transaction. We do it really just it's more personal, more efficient, and we do it through a law office, and then can help with a lot of other things that I think could really just outdo escrow. But just I just like to bring that up because that's a true a business being built on a domain name, and there's a lot of moving parts. One, you got to make sure, right, you have the the legalese. Basically, you got to be lawful, be allowed to do a business like that, really sophisticated, and then you're going to be handling people's assets, whether it's valuable names and obviously cash. But yeah, check that out. Since we're domainers, check that out. Domainescrow.com. Ish, go ahead.
No, I was just trying to circle back to the Beanstalk Challenge. I think, you know, the beautiful thing is, a domain is it's just a component. It's not, I don't believe in the narrative of a domain is a business in a box. I think a domain is a catalyst. It has a lot of benefits. That's why we all do what we do and love so much. But if you think that just owning a domain equates to success, there's a lot of delusion behind that. Also, the traffic that domains generate are very sketchy. A lot of them are bots, or people that are, navigating the internet in a certain way. I mean, I know from my custom landers, sometimes people ask me questions like it's an operating business when there's clearly a website on there that says this is for sale. So I can imagine what people are thinking with a property.com or some of these top tier names. So, the traffic quality is very questionable, and at the same time, it's like, the domain can reduce your customer acquisition costs. It can increase your visibility, but it's typically inadequate. in terms of like what's needed to run a successful business. So, you know, it brings up a great point, which is what Josh was saying was if this doesn't work out for some of these businesses because they're missing those other components, it could be a stain on the whole narrative of the importance of a domain name.
I think it's
Yeah, but
going to.
he's not. This is not the final thing, right? This is just getting started.
Yeah,
Even if
regardless,
all these business,
that's irrelevant though. You how you
no,
start
but
is
even
how
if
you
all,
finish. Go ahead.
not necessarily. What he's trying to do is, like I said last time, also I think on your space was he's on ramping. He's starting with these. The idea being that big time builders or people like you see the recent Nas.com sale, right? Nas.io is already profitable. They raised $47 million from on their Series A. So it's not like they're not profitable, but they still went and bought the .com. So there is a logic to it. So the domain will add value. Will it be the entire value? No, I agree with you. One thing I'm going to push back on what you said, Ish, was uh, about .in. So let me give you some foundational stuff. XYZ did well because it was adopted by the crypto crowd. AI did well because the AI crowd accepted it. IO did well because the tech people adopted it. So adoption is what leads to price increase. And I'm already at 50%, more than 50% of domain websites in India are already .in. In fact, the government is mandating that all banks are on .bank.in. And they've already complied. All the banks in India now operate out of .bank.in. There's huge visibility. That means every touch point in the country knows about .in. Every individual who ever does a 10 rupee transaction on UPI knows it's on a .in. There is, it's adoption, it's usage. Usage will lead to value, will lead to whatever. And again, selling a domain is the easy part. I think that's what Rick was right. Selling the domain, yeah, you get paid out once. What he did was with candy.com was exactly what you need to do with domains. Get a seat at the table. Dharmesh has shown the way with chat.com, with all these. Now he's selling prompt.com. Otherwise, you think he would have got any equity in either Perplexity or OpenAI? I doubt it. They're not public companies as far as I know. But he got a seat at the table because of a domain name. And OS.ai wouldn't even have been that expensive.
Yeah, but no
So
disrespect,
adoption,
no disrespect to Todd. I don't think Mish is on the same level as Todd, of the 16-year-old that Rick is aligning himself with. It's two different type of builders. You know what I mean? I love you, Todd. I'm not.
Todd is my grandfather's age. Dick Tracy, I don't think even our generation, like I'm the 70 born guy. I don't think even our
That's
generation gets
hot.
the
That's
Dick
a hot
Tracy
thing.
connection.
No, in Ish is right on. I think what we're going to see. Hold on, with the Beanstalk challenges, most people, the ones, if there is anything that's success out of this, it's going to be because someone spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions, to really launch a true business. For all of us that are going to try to, shoot fucking, a bullseye from a mile away, but basically not intending to spend hundreds of thousands. Well, you're going to see that's what it takes to build big business is going to be uh, really we're gonna see, and if anybody ends up being successful here, there's probably going to be no secret. It's going to be because they spent big money. But I don't know if anybody in this founders club who, I don't know the individual plans, who is like, listen, thanks for giving me, part of this. Rick, it's successful for Rick because Rick's thinking, hey, I want somebody to invest their time and money, and I want a piece of what you do. So it's almost like, I used to do this to people. Go out and find me some money, and I'll let you keep half of it. I fucking, it's like fucking, that's what I do to people. You don't do that to me. But then again, there's ways there's ways to handle this, as a partnership with somebody who owns a premium name. Do what you can. There's going to be different, um, I guess, definitions of success, because I could put something on it immediately now and um, sell certain products and already start transacting some business, build a Shopify site. One thing I wanted to say, I know you guys would all appreciate, I was going to get myself like in a Speedo and lay on my couch and just do a live video and put, were you looking for me? We get so much traffic at dick.com. I'm sure people would appreciate it. We do get some traffic there. Do I know what it's targeted for?
No, but
I
Todd,
don't know.
maybe you hit on it. It will require a lot of money.
Yeah.
And a premium domain might be able to help you raise money from the market. So maybe that's the route. Build something, raise capital, and you automatically have enterprise value, even if you don't have the money.
Yeah, we all like the contest. Josh said it that we're hoping that there's some success that comes out of it. But true, you're going to need a real plan, real builders with and then okay. So Dave X, nice to have you here. What comment did you have?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Todd. Hey, everybody. Just listening to the Beanstalk Challenge discussion. I mean, it's like I wanted to ask you, since you are involved, what's the arrangement? I mean, can you share it? Like, what are you? Are you just? Is he lending you the name to build your business on it, or are you jointly building it? I mean, what's the arrangement? I'm just curious.
It's he thinks it's really clear. To me, there's a lot of unanswered questions about it. But long story short is why you're building if the name sells. This is an interesting part. While you're really developing something or building anything, if the name sells, the builder gets 20% of the proceeds. Okay, well that seems good. I mean, I hope Dick.com sells for $1 million right now, 2 million. I don't know what it would sell for. Uh, and then I'd like to, go ahead and take my piece and say, all right, I'm coming on the yacht, Rick. I'll see you in Miami. But but if it goes on, say after these first 6 months, we're all in Miami. Some of us, there's going to be some of the sites that are built that have never generated revenue. We know that. Some might generate, I don't know, fucking small change in some affiliate leads. I have no idea. I don't, everybody's waiting around to see does somebody really have a real business there that's really generating some revenue, whether it's in whatever way that you generate that money, even if it's a sponsorship on a site. Like I said, what I'm working with at Dick.com are two different routes that we're thinking about going down, and how they would generate revenue is different. But I guess, when it comes to those websites like Pool Cleaners or whatever it was, Pool Repair, or I can't remember what it was, that pretty much makes sense. Either you're selling leads or you're actually doing the service and you're making money off of it. So launch it, send a fucking truck out to somebody's house, clean a pool, get paid 500. If it costs you 300, then you profited to it. Whatever. The point is, once you are doing business, then it's a sort of like a 50-50 split, you and Rick. So, I don't know, are people going to, start breaking him off immediately with regards to, hey, I just sold some supplies for $200. My profit was 100. Here's your 50. It's really unclear on, distributions of revenue that comes in, say, because some could be generating revenue now. I don't even know. So it ends up, Dave, being a 50-50 split. But then if you want to buy Rick out of that 50-50 split, you can come, you and he can come to an agreement on the value of the domain name and then pay it off monthly. I have no idea. Samit said at one time, no one's, you're going to need to spend a lot of money. So do you want to spend, say, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, not building the site, but really marketing the site? Because we know everybody can build shit now. Marketing and having a true back end, to the business, and give 50% of it to somebody because of a fucking domain name. So I've always thought a domain name, like I said, is just a very small piece, not needed to be successful on an online business. Definitely is not even necessary if you're more of a local business like a restaurant or something. So, but an online business, they wanted you to think you need a domain name and you need a good one. Okay, that's it. So yeah, the terms are really not as clear as people think, but Rick ends up being a 50-50 partner. He's, wanting you to build a bit. Then when you exit, when you exit later on, if it's solely because somebody wants to buy the domain name, Rick still feels should get 75% of it. You get 25%. If they're really buying the business, then you just split it 50-50. I wanted to say about, forget that we'll constantly give updates because people are messing with this. And I can't wait to share what I'm doing. I'm going to start focusing a little more on it, but I've been busy. I mean, I'm handling, I'm fucking thrilled. You guys know I'm working full time at a fucking law firm. It's Jeff's law firm, and we have big cases. Now I can share even less, but we're working on several big lawsuits. And if you ever have an issue in this domain space or with your intellectual property, reach out to JJN Solutions. But I just mentioned domainescrow.com. Jeff has always, done some transactions, basically escrowed domain transactions. But I said, we're stepping it up. We're going to do it fucking first class. We're going to fill in, really not a void. We're just going to start, letting folks know in the domain space, especially brokers, that we can do it first class and we can do it faster, more secure than really what's out there. In many times, it's really the same as what's out there because there are some other attorneys from Jason Schaefer to Stephen Lieberman to Barry Hill even does some transactions. So I love the idea of using lawyers as to help you with your transactions. Okay. That said, I wanted to say, about MO.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go
Todd?
ahead.
Can I ask you a
Yeah.
question about domain escrow?
Yeah.
Are you handling low value transactions also, like sub 5K?
Just 5,000 is the minimum.
5,000.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that was pulling teeth because I'm like, I'm doing,
Yeah,
personal.
You think he wants to? You think he wants to deal with us poor people? Are you kidding me?
Josh has got
This
some
guy's
big deals.
He's a big time lawyer now. You didn't know that?
Josh, I had to be clear on the side. I'm not a lawyer, but I'll play one. Hey, Josh, so much that I can't wait to. You're the big timer with not your transactions and all that broker stuff, but as a registrar, done so much work with other registrars, and I'm happy to do it now. And meaning, just I've learned so much, but you have so many, agreements that you're going to have to put together. I cannot wait, to work with you. And it's a serious stuff, but just so many different types of protections that people in this business, registrars, registries, need. And then I cannot wait until after this application window, the GTLD closes, when you know that the companies, the clients that just the biggest and the best and beautiful. I can't wait. We can't share it because it's confidential.
Can we afford you?
Huh?
Can we afford you guys?
Yeah, well, you're. I told you you're getting the family rate. That's not for everybody because I said, listen, you're trying to build your company, and Jeff even knows it. But you're trying to build your company. You're not gonna rape you. If things go good, I know you'll smile at me later on and go, thanks for the help. But no, seriously. Okay, so the mo.com was for sale. I think Tess Holcomb, somebody was offering that, and I was thinking, yeah. Why doesn't Media Options? Drew's got a bunch of money. Of course, Media Options. But if he was selling MO, he would go to a company like his own and say, "This is talk about authority. This shows you're the big timer." But of course, he probably doesn't want MO. I'm sure he'd want it, but he's thinking, what would be the price he would buy it for? 100,000? I'm sure he would. Couple 100,000. But as soon as it gets up to those prices, 3 million, 5 million.
He would much rather sell it. Yeah, much rather sell it than buy it.
Yeah, but it's like so it's really not worth 2 million to buy. You're the end user.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's a whole conversation right there.
Yeah,
the whole practice what you preach thing.
I was waiting for you to say that. But yeah, you'll go on his show and tell him he's smart, so he'll have his reasons. But still, it's like, well, geez,
No.
why wouldn't you give up? He'll say he did.
100%. I'm not giving him a heart. It's just not worth that to him. It's not even close to worth that to him.
If he said if people pumped a couple $100 million in his company, funded it, then he'd think, and the investors said it's very important to have this name. He'd think, I'll spend your money and do it. But to spend his own money, I'm always on Drew's side. If he's the business owner, I bet about like you are, Josh. I'd cut all the. He's in a different boat. You got engineers who help him. I know he has his team, and I'd make them all salespeople from JT to fucking Billy. And Chris already is a salesperson in his, but I'd make them all.
The type of business matters, right? It's like, does mo.com change their business at all? Not really. I mean, they're a relationship based business. They don't have any they don't have like a true consumer product. They're not building anything like technology wise. I mean, they might be doing some stuff in the back end that helps like make their life easier as brokers, but nothing that we should be concerned with. So it just doesn't make sense for someone like him to spend that much money on a domain. His brand is Media Options. He already has MediaOptions.com. Like, it's a case by case basis. Just because it's like a great two-letter.com that might, represent his brand in some way, it's probably not even the most ideal name for him. The most ideal name for him is MediaOptions.com. So
and he's too smart to get
it's just
sold
not.
on it, like Weight Watchers. They bought WW, and they're like, "Look, that's stupid." I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
we're Weight Watchers, but people they thought we can expand. It doesn't limit, but right. So that's just another example of a two-letter. What really, is it worth? And usually, unless the company's name MO. Josh, there was a okay. So last week,
Can we quickly touch on that real quick
yeah,
because I do think that like there's a reason why two-letter.coms don't sell that well at retail, but sell trade for a high amount at wholesale. So like it's interesting, right? Because they trade. Let's say that they have like a floor of like 500K, but then they trade at retail for like, I don't know, anywhere from 500K to a plus. But often they're trading in that like high six-figure, low seven-figure range, which is really close to what they trade for at wholesale. And it's quite simply because um they just don't like these two-letter.coms. They don't have the same brand impact as like a short one-word.com or something like that. It's not the same. Like they're either shorteners for two words, right? And honestly, a shortener for a two-word, like at the end of the day, the brand probably just wants to be known as their two-word, like Morgan Stanley, right? Nobody calls them MS. They're just Morgan Stanley. So then a two-letter.com really only becomes useful if that's your actual brand, is just those two letters, which again doesn't happen very often, which is why you don't see these trading like the one-word.coms do. They're just one-word.coms are just better, more valuable, and yeah, I don't know. Two-letter.com's overvalued in my opinion in the wholesale market, way overvalued.
yeah, in the three-letter, it really in the same sense because there's an event coming up in where's Igor live? I forget the name of the city right now. It just escapes me. I was talking about it. It's over in he's in Eastern Europe. He's in Serbia. What's the capital of Serbia? It's fucking super.
Is it Belgrade? Belgrade?
I think so. Right. Um, well, there's an event there this week, and Jordi Gasol, I think he's a broker and an investor, and I know they were mentioning I just happened to see a post this morning on LinkedIn, I believe, that was showing that some three-letter that he has, and I was thinking, yeah, Josh, when you were talking, if you're IBM and you're known as IBM, they call them IBM, not International Business Machines, right? In the NBA, if you're the NBA, people use your acronym. That's the main thing. That's not, they don't go National Basketball Association. Oh, every once in a while we call it NBA. So you made a great point with these two-letter. No one ever called it WW. Weight Watchers. That was their main thing. So stick to it. But they got sold on it somehow, and it went up to the highest levels to where they pulled the trigger and bought it. And then, of course, was it Overstock? No one called it O. And then they got the O.co. And we all know that story, and people bring it up over and over. But that was like, now almost 2 decades ago, it seems like. But it is true. No one cares, so you own TR. If your company doesn't go by that, JD, even Harley Davidson, HD, that's close, but still no one ever called it HD, but so it does make sense that, you don't need
The closest one is AA, American Airlines. I think
that's
that's the one that makes the most sense.
well, I thought when you said AA, I was thinking Alcoholics Anonymous, seriously, because AA.
Really?
Well, we were talking about American Airlines the other day because when that first came around, I guess their lawyers were telling them, "You guys, well, you're going to name yourself American Airlines. We can't even protect you. It's fucking." But now we know there's so many Singapore Airlines. I mean, there's a lot of country plus airlines, and they sound descriptive, but yet American Airlines became so popular that now it is a protectable mark. And
Well, their mark was accepted back in the days when the rules were a little bit different, right? It's a very older one. It wouldn't be accepted today, but it
Well,
got kind of grandfathered.
yeah, I don't know. I thought originally it was probably put in the supplemental. I have no idea. I wanted to bring up. I see Mike Seiger here. Last week I was going to talk about different businesses, and in one that he just happened to launch, it looked like this week, was Notify.Domains. Well, what a great tool. I went to it, but a lot of us, you do some of the things, it seems like, at DNX, and that is notify people when there's a price change, server change. I'm not real familiar with all the different um, ways or reasons you would get notified on Mike's new platform. But did you see his post, Josh, in Notify.Domains? Do you like that kind of tool?
Yeah, I love it. It's cool. But Mike is a serial builder. He's constantly building new stuff, and that one looks cool. I haven't played around with it yet. I saw it this morning. Gave it a retweet. Yeah, it's cool. In regards to DNX, we have domain monitoring tool. Yeah, that monitors domain changes, name servers, whois changes, and all the marketplaces. Um, there's still various things that we want to do with that, but I'm sure Mike's is probably just takes it more in depth. But like I said, I haven't played around with it, so I can't comment.
I just asked Mike to join us, but I was curious if there was a certain number. Oh, he's here. I want to say, Mike, was there? Thanks for being here. But a certain number of features that you wanted to include with your V1, with your first version, because it seems like there's just so many different ways. I mean, different things that happen with domain names that a potential buyer would want to be notified. But thanks. Tell us a little bit about notify.domains.
Yeah, thanks, guys. So I've been wanting this tool for years. Uh,
I lost him.
Yeah, me too. Sounded like it was gonna be good though.
God, I was so excited there. I was just like, I was listening so enthusiastically, and it just like the most anticlimactic moment of all time.
Try it again, Mike. I see you're off mute. Yeah, he always talks about the positives a little on that little island. Like this, we
You
just
just
kind of.
just boot him and then get him back up.
He's like He's like he went to the big city today. He's at a coffee shop. Do you think they got any coffee shops in Seattle? Hey, all right, Mike, leave and come back. We do want to know. I'm curious about. He says on the site, and I see that when a buyer, or I'm sorry, when a seller sort of maybe changes his mind about selling, basically he's saying if the seller becomes more open to selling the name, then he'll notify you. So what indications does he look for to see that a domain owner may now be open to accepting offers, other than an obvious like putting up a landing page for sale? But
Hey,
no.
guys, I'm back.
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
like better. Go ahead.
I don't know why this phone always seems to have problems. Apologize for that. So yeah, I'm trying to take a view at helping regular people. So it's not a tool built for domain investors. And if you read the homepage, I hope I get that across, that it's built for laymen who want a domain name and they don't understand what to do. And we try and remove some of the opaqueness from the industry and help them with clearly worded explanations of what's going on for all the complexity that we deal with on a daily basis. So that's the idea behind Notify.Domains. Am I
Well,
still here?
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that question I had. You said if a seller is more apt to be open to selling it, how do you look for something like that? I mean, they change what? I mean, obviously if they put up a for sale page, but you add in there, hey, we let you know if this seller now is more open to selling the name, or open to taking
Yeah.
offers?
So, there's a few things that I think we as investors understand from what's going on in the system that regular people don't understand. So, for example, we understand that sometimes domain investors need cash in order to get out of an investment that they have in order to buy new investments or to just liquidate parts of their portfolio that they've lost interest in or things like that. And that manifests by us typically um, I don't know, changing our landing pages that we're not happy with results or reducing the price, or as it gets to the end of registration and you've owned that domain name for a number of years, you might reduce the price. We've seen some people saying, yeah, I'll reduce it to $199 and then just blow it out for the last month because I don't want it. And so these are indicators that notified.domains tracks. We have a nice price graph on there. So if you're tracking a domain for 11 months and suddenly the price goes down from $1,988 to $299, like now's the time to click that button and buy that domain. And we tell you where to buy it. We'll tell you it's fast transfer at GoDaddy and that you've got a better chance of buying it. So I'm trying to remove all of the complexity of the industry and just make it straightforward for a user to get information and understand it. And if you don't understand what's going on, then you can open up Mike as a service. There, I built my own little support channel. You can just open up a communications with me through the site and say, hey, what do you think this domain name is really worth? Because I haven't done any valuations, which is on my roadmap, to help people understand the value of domain names, which is, obviously difficult for a lot of people. And I haven't but they can start a conversation with me and I can say, your best chance right now is to buy it here based on the data that I see of your domain name. And here's what I think you should do if you really want it. And so, a lot of times people don't want to go to a broker over a $2,000 domain name or a $10,000 domain name or a $50,000 domain name. People have different needs. And so sometimes they just want a earnest opinion on something they're tracking. And I'm here for it. And I'm probably going to learn from it. And I'm going to make my tool better for it as a result of that.
And how much is Mike as a service?
It's
Is it
Mike as a service is $2 per month per domain. You can't get a better deal than that.
Oh,
Well, I got to take, we need to spend some time at notify.domains, check this out so then we can have some, intelligent questions and basically take time using it. But Mike, thanks for, continuing to build basically in the domain space. Thanks for not just leaving us because, for a while there, you're acting funny. Like, I don't even deal with you
I
guys
was
anymore.
acting funny, Todd.
Yeah, like, hey,
What was I doing?
I don't know if I'm building outside of this space. I don't know what I want to do, but this is a great tool. I mean, this
I
is,
never said that. I've always been building BainbridgeIsland.com ever since I interviewed the Costello brothers on Domain Sherpa, and they got me hooked on geo domains. I've been building, but yes, I was building some stuff outside of the domain space. And I just love domains. Like, even though I want to sell all my domain names, I'm still eyeing domain names to buy and just finished up, thank goodness, the DN Academy Investor Challenge today. And nobody has reported any more sales. So I think I've got the top spot locked up. And, it even with all of that noise going on buying domains that I don't really want in my own portfolio, I'm still looking at what's going on at NameJet, SnapNames, Dropcatch, and yeah, you can't get rid of me. Once you try and get out, once you're in, you can't get out.
yeah,
I,
those
I just unmuted my mic before just to ask you when it was ending because I felt like it was kind of around now. So it actually ends today.
It ends today, thank goodness. I think it might have ended yesterday. I don't know. Yeah, today
Well,
or
if it
yesterday,
was
one of the two.
yesterday, then congratulations, Governor.
Thank you, thank you.
Hey, I
Yeah,
sure
are
hope
you guys
everybody
going to
can
do
join
it?
us next week because I want to. I invited Bill Hartzer to be here today, and now he said we're only going to be around about another 15, 20 minutes. So, two things I want to point out. One, I see Ryan, who was with us last week, Ryan Ewan, back here on X. We missed you. It's been a fucking day. You were gone. Ryan, I hope you can join us next week. I'm loving your YouTube videos. And while you are here, it's weirdest thing because I went to your profile and I see you're following me and I follow you, but yet it says 0 following and 0 followers. So if I don't know if it's because you reactivated or something like that, but anybody go to Ryan DeCourcy Ewan's profile and make sure you're following Ryan if you weren't already, because Ryan, Josh and I were talking. At least I don't know what your plan is, but at least post here and say, "Hey, I'm no longer doing anything here. Go to my YouTube channel," and at least it's another simple way for us to have a link. But Ryan, I hope you can join us next week and tell us, give us an update on what's going on your video series. And Josh will be here, and then that way I can hear you two, those accents going back and forth, and then I can make some jokes. Hey, okay, so I want to get to Bill. I invited Bill because he was working with a nonprofit who had their name
Can we get
stolen.
is no Ryan? Just
Huh?
to be clear, can we not get we can't get Ryan up for a
Yeah, yeah,
second?
yeah.
No offense, Ryan.
Ryan, come up here first. I'm going to give Ryan. I'll invite Ryan up here, and we'll go over a little bit if we have to. But I did want Bill, and Bill, you can certainly
All
join
right,
us
that's
again
cool.
too. But Bill,
Let's go. We go over today, right, Todd? We're gonna go over.
yeah, we'll go over.
All right.
Okay, yeah,
Cool.
we'll keep this thing going a little bit. I mean, it's only some lawyers that are going to be mad at me. Hey, Bill, so tell us, not necessarily quickly, but tell us about this situation, because I think a lot of domain investors need to be aware of, these negative things can happen, basically people stealing your name. Tell us about the situation you're dealing with, and thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Todd. So, a lot of people know, but I'm kind of billed as the I think I like to step in, and when someone loses a name, I like to kind of step in and help out. And so I've kind of, I've recovered over the past 5 years, recovered, over 1,000 names for people. And some of those, it sounds like a lot of names, but a lot of them, were, portfolios and so forth of like, where, a couple hundred names at a time were stolen. And I'm obviously not an attorney, and but I'm kind of like the go-to guy before you have to step into legal and get like someone's like like Todd's firm to be able to help legally. So I've written a lot about stolen names and so forth. So I just get, probably 10 to 15 inquiries a week about, hey, my name is stolen, my name or my names were stolen and so forth. And, so about 6 months ago, I got an email from the head of the president of a nonprofit, and they had basically hired a guy to do a new website for them. They registered the name. They've been using this website, since 2009, and so they needed a new site. So they hired this guy, and I don't think they really ended up paying him initially, but he supposedly was working on a site, and they gave him access to the GoDaddy account and so forth, and kind of in this process of him building a site, apparently he basically just went into the GoDaddy account and transferred all the names in that their nonprofit's account, to himself. And so, which, I have a problem with that. I mean, when you, it's just not something that, I don't know. I think it could be borderline cybercrime when you go in and you transfer names, to yourself without permission. So anyway, apparently this new site was ready and so forth, and then he wanted another $5,000 to transfer the names back, and to give the domains back to it, the nonprofit. So some of these are, like, main one is a 5character.org, that they've been using since 2009. So the not, the nonprofit, they, they help veterans and victims of domestic violence. So I just literally got on the phone and called the guy and said, hey, what's going on, and he really didn't have any idea that he shouldn't have transferred the names to himself, um, but he was initially nice about it and so forth, but then it just kind of became nasty and said, hey, um, I don't want to deal with this and so forth. And so, several emails back and forth and several different phone calls, et cetera. And it just became, a lost cause. And so the nonprofit, the president, I had her file a police report for the stolen names. He was very clear that he had stolen the names. He was not going to give back these names. And he just, so I kind of stepped in and I said, hey, we're not going to get these names back. So let's see if we can, at least raise some money to help pay for the UDRP fees. And then we'll go from there. So that's where we're at this point. I've so far raised about $250, which is a good start towards paying some UDR, filing fees.
Well, I'm sure some. I sound awful loud there. I'm sure some of attorneys stepped up to say that they're willing to help out once you have the fees, because I know they're not going to pay the fees. But have you heard from any lawyers that want to help?
Yeah, I think there's, I just, kind of in passing. I mean, some, has said, hey, well, let us know if you need any legal, any legal help on it. But yeah, so I don't think we're necessarily at that point yet. Just, I'm looking to get, I've donated $100 of that $250. And so, we'll see. I mean, if it needs to come, if we need to get, closer to, let's say, $500 or $1,000, then we'll, I might, will probably, if we don't, have that the next month or so, I'll probably step up and do that.
Well, where can people go? Just go to follow you, Bill, and then you'll have a.
Yeah, just put in Bill Hartzer nonprofit in Google, and I've been kind of sharing around and so forth. Kind of, give me some more details. The other question is I've been asked, hey, I mean this guy is a web designer and IT guy and claims he does SEO as well, and I haven't gone out and named him or anything like that. Publicly or anything. I mean, I've been asked to do that. Some on the SEO side is, hey, let's get the SEO community and let's name and shame this guy. But it happened, so, I'm not at that point yet. I mean, it really kind of, yeah, I'm kind of pissed off, to be honest with you, that we're even having to deal with this. But it happens a lot, and I think that a lot of people who lose their names for whatever reason, they don't know they don't know that there's steps you can go through, like the UDRP and so forth, to get the names back. And so I know there's a lot of companies out there who just don't, end users who just don't know the process, different various processes and procedures. So luckily I've been in a situation where I can get on the phone with somebody and and typically talk to them and get something resolved without having to file a lawsuit or go to UDRP or so forth. And even just my contacts at various registrars, there's certain registrars out there that are, that have, great people there. And if I message them, they definitely help out. And we've gotten some, even 2-letter names that were stolen, were stolen, back. And so, that's the power of knowing people in this industry and networking.
Well, the recommendations
There's some
for
great people
if
in the industry.
if right now if someone says, okay, the domain's not in my account, I run this organization or this company, the domain's not in our company account or in the executive that account it should be in, but it should be in the company account. why they have a good relationship with their builder or their web designer or anything, you're saying they should immediately contact the web designer. Hey, we noticed the name is not in our account. We want to make it sure that it's transferred to our account. We're still going to, most every registrar allows for there to be, limited access. Like we can give you a login and you can still handle, everything with regards to the DNS records, but you cannot transfer out. So what would you recommend to someone who reaches out to you and says, hey, I heard about the situation you're dealing with. Our web designer has our domain in their account. What should we do? Is exactly that, right? A friendly email, but you need to get that name in your control. Is that, have you given out that recommendation
Yeah,
before, Bill?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would definitely, definitely do that. And then, if there's some kind of, if they insist on something, then, then you would reach out to the registrar themselves and say, hey, this is, this kind of situation. We didn't authorize this transfer, et cetera, and, and that, and sometimes it's, sometimes just getting on the phone with somebody and even getting, getting the registrar and the two parties on the phone, we can figure it out.
Well, thanks. I was going to say it's real finicky. I want to stay in touch with you about when the UDRP is not normally for stolen names. Not that it can't be, because we've seen in some recent cases where a name was stolen, a complainant filed a UDRP and recovered the domain name. But in many cases like this, we see the person originally registered the name with the approval of the company, and so it really, many panelists feel it wasn't registered in bad faith. Now there's ways to file the complaint and present the facts to say, although we didn't have an agreement that, they knew that they were registering it for us, whether or not it was in their account or not. So I guess what I'm getting at is you can win a UDRP in a case of a stolen domain name, but we've seen it go both ways. And I've seen really many more where a stolen name was not awarded to a complainant in a UDRP because of that fact that there was a relationship at the time of registration, and the panelist usually felt that maybe this is a case better for court where there's more discovery. And on my next call today, I'm going to be talking about that, how it's really unfair that people file these UDRPs. Now I'm going in a different direction here. File these UDRPs to really try to steal a very valuable name, and in some cases they'll be successful in winning a UDRP, and then the person that's lost the name has to go to court to try to correct this bad decision, and it's super expensive, very expensive. And if you're not, really well off, it can just be, can drain you, it can make you go broke, and you're really just trying to recover assets that were yours. So the UDRP is a great tool to use, and it can help you recover a stolen domain name. So, Bill, I'll stay in touch with you. If anybody, search Bill Hartzer nonprofit, and you can see what he's doing with this particular instance. And then also, if you have a name that, you feel someone stole from you, or they did, before you take legal action, Bill is someone you want to contact. He can help you recover your name. And then, of course, if he's not successful, then he directs you to, appropriate counsel to help you, really go after them in the legal fashion. Especially by that time, Bill usually knows who we need to serve. So it's really the right timeline. You go to Bill, you're going to get a lot of information and probably get your name, if things work out, get the name recovered. If not, then naturally go into the next step of, filing a lawsuit against them, or an administrative hearing, a UDRP. Hey, Josh, I did invite Ryan, and it looked like he was here for a second on stage, but then he went away. He's still on X, maybe his account. We don't know.
He said that he's on the train and he doesn't have good signal.
Okay, yeah, I know he was in Prague, He was doing some traveling right now with his brother. I see some pictures, but yeah, he knows he's got to be on. He's got to be sharp when he deals with you. But well, before there was a ton of things on our outline today that I wanted to cover, but some of them I'm going to carry to next week. Let me take a look real fast. I love the new web page. Front
What?
running, not renewing.
Why
Oh,
don't we get Domain Shane up here and he can quickly tell us a little bit about Winterline?
yeah, I didn't even see Shane in the crowd. Okay. Yeah, Shane, this is a replay. We hit thousands of people every week. We dwarf what Sherpa's doing. Okay, never invite me on there now. I don't see Shane here. I don't even see it. It must be under Winterline. Invite him, Josh. I don't see him,
Domain
but maybe
Shane.
that's because I got him blocked. I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, you blocked him. I
Yeah.
forgot that you blocked him.
No, he knows.
I see him right there.
Oh, that's
There he
weird.
is. Mr. Shane, Mr. Domain Shane himself.
Man, I'm back on the hustle. I absolutely love it. This is, man, I can't believe how much energy I have. I don't know why I wasn't doing this sooner.
You've always had energy, dude.
No, it's next level right now, man. My wife has to slap me sometimes this last couple weeks. It's
He wasn't doing that already?
no, she just ignored me before. Now she has to tone me down a little bit. No, it's like I did that 50 miler last week and it brought back the young juices and no, it's good, man. It's yeah, I'm hustling. I love it. I mean, I love domains. I've always loved domains, but sitting in meetings with like entrepreneurs and VCs and just intelligent people just gets you riled up. It's like just seeing, most people are younger than me. Not everybody, but they're going after stuff, they're acquiring, they're building. It's just a different level of energy that I just didn't have before. I was kind of sitting on the sidelines and paying attention and talking more about me. And now it's a lot more ears and just listening. So yeah, I mean, I couldn't be more excited. I'm going to fly to Miami, go to Consensus. I got a bunch of meeting with VCs down there. I'm going to Europe, San Francisco, just getting out there, talking to people and hustling. So, I mean,
Well,
that's really,
I love your new website. It looks super clean. I know I told you that already. Just like the colors and everything, they look really nice. I know it's nothing crazy, but it just looks clean. The only thing I would say is Sean looks a little scary, but other than that,
Sean, every morning, like we had a meeting yesterday, a pretty big meeting, and he shaved his head. And I'm like, you shaved your head for this meeting. No, he's a quiet assassin. He's a gentle giant, but yeah, that's
yeah, he
Sean's
is.
work. Full credit to Sean for the design. I will say my branding was kind of, and I think it kind of proves to us in domains that a really good brand and domain doesn't have to be necessarily what you would consider a killer keyword. It can still resonate and brand and still just be a good one word.com or maybe even a two word in that case. Winterline is a word, but it's kind of two words. So I kind of felt like it worked and credit to Sean to making it look pretty.
No,
And
100%. I think you're right. I think it's a really cool brand. I actually really like it.
yeah, and I look forward to
Yeah.
getting a ski jacket from you. It's a large, is what I wear. Hey,
Uh-huh.
well, Shane, I thought you were joking. You sound like you're on muscle relaxers today. Usually, you're even more. You're like, I'm really excited. I'm crazy. I haven't been this energetic. I
Yeah,
thought
no,
you were
no, I have to
joking
speak
around.
up now. Now I can't mumble as much. I had to get a really good haircut so I didn't look like I had a rat on my head, like you said earlier. So I
I'll
got a
do
good
the Jackson.
haircut. I gotta leave my. I gotta grow the beard out a little bit. But I will say, when you send an email from Winterline, it gets your. It sounds like a VC firm, like a good firm. I get a lot. I find I get more responses because
Oh,
of that. So
dude, why aren't you wearing a vest? You should be wearing a vest in that.
I
You
wore
should
a, I
totally.
wore a coat. I wear a coat and like a collar, kind of like the was that the TBN? What's the TBLN? You know those the podcast with the two dudes that are handsome that just got bought for 100 million.
Oh no, I don't know that, but I guess I
Yeah.
should.
Yeah, it's a business. It's a great podcast. They pretty much sit down with every founder, but the two guys always have their hair all perfect and their suit coats on, and they just look like $1 million. Even if well, now they're worth 100 million, but before, even when they were just coming up, they looked the role. So, I don't think it's I'm overstating the dress, but I will say it's yeah, you got to be sharper. You got to present when you're sitting down with people that are doing great things. You got to appear like, you have to show your worth on the other side. So I have tried to up that game a little bit too, and my speaking. Yeah, yeah. Todd's joking, but at the same time, that is true. You can't just be mumbling on the other side the whole time. So I love it, man. This has been the most exciting thing I've done in 20, 30 years. And I'm super stoked. And I don't see that coming down anytime soon. It's just, one thing that a lot of us do and we talk about, but, setting up the SaaS tools and setting up the tools and the connections and, all these bottlenecks that we see, the things that we kind of take for granted. I don't know if we take it for granted, but trying to find the owners of the domains obviously is one of the more difficult parts on the buy side, and setting up the connections and opening up these bottlenecks to make that process easier, where you're not spending all day organizing, and that's where AI tools come in handy. But setting everything up properly so you're not constantly fixing things that break is, I think, where people talk about AI tools all the time, but sometimes some of these old school like HubSpot, Apollos combined with the on top is just a better way to go than building the shit yourself. And I'm finding more and more out every day.
Yeah.
So
Very cool.
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. We've got some good names under management. It's early. It's a slow roll. It's a process. I mean, we all know Drew and Andrew Miller, and these guys do a fantastic job. Yourself, like, there's plenty of people doing this, but we can all carve our niche. We can all make a living. We all have our people and angles, and I'm just gonna hustle my way as deep as I can get in it.
Fuck,
It's
Shane,
the
I
only
think
way to
it's
do it,
great.
man.
I was gonna say no. I really do think
Todd,
it's
why
great.
don't you ask Mike and Shane about the Beanstalk Challenge?
Uh, I don't care about that. We will, but the Shane,
Bro, I actually think that Samet's on the right track, Todd.
okay.
Right?
Well, first I
Don't be
wanted to
hey
say,
Todd.
can you
Todd,
hear
don't
me?
be a dick about it, dude.
Can you?
What was the question? I apologize.
Todd wants to know if you think that he's gonna build a good site on dick.com.
Well, I mean, it depends the angle you go, I guess, and the size that you go.
The angle and
Yeah.
size. Well,
I
that's funny you
mean,
mentioned
if
that.
anybody
Let me
knows
send you a
dicks, it's
picture of that.
Todd, man. He's got he just talk about databases. He can just go to his DMs and fill the whole site.
Uh, Listen, what would you value that at? I was going to say something nice about, I think it's about time that you're doing this. I think great partnership with Sean. And, I would like to have, I wish really 5 years ago, because this is sort of natural for you, Shane, to help people buy and sell names. It's just natural for you. One, you start earlier, you'd have been, farther into this race. But I know, it's always, the timing is what it is. But no, I'm glad. I can't wait to, when we go to the conferences. Now we know. I like that you're going to be, really part of the broker meeting at ICA in a more, solid specific role. But and look forward to hearing about transactions that you're doing. Well, what would you value dickat.com? Seriously, it's a weird name. It's weird because it's flesh colored. Anyway, okay. So what would you value dick.com
Yeah, I
at?
mean, I think it's a multi seven figure name, but it's gonna have to go adult. Like to earn the income that you need to value it at that, there's only one way to go, and that's adult. So in the adult market, I mean, you can talk to Slavic. I mean, Slavic makes millions on lesser quality names. So, it's a road that not everybody's willing to approach. But yeah, I mean, we're talking multi millions of dollars, and we're talking potential of 8 figures, 9 figures in due time. So it's just a route that your kids are not going to help you build.
I think that
that's
was a
that's
pretty
my
good
opinion.
analysis.
No,
Okay.
no doubt about it. And I will say, I've said this on several podcasts too, not to change the dick subject, but I think part of my role in the future is obviously domain conferences, but that's not where my clients are. Like, I'm going to emerge in Miami here to go to the defense contractors meeting, like all this, the AI and all the people in that space. That's a huge conference, and going to insurance conference, anything that's growing and building, that's where my customers are. The domain, I mean, sure, we're going to learn from each other, and there's definitely some camaraderie and some, information there. But the money is in the people building companies and emerging and creating. And that's where the conferences I need to be going. That's who I need to be. I need to be going to the hackathons. I need to be going to the VC meetings. I need to be going to those. Those are the conferences you'll probably see me more often.
Okay, I've noted that. Don't go to hackathon. Hey, no, this is cool. And then I know you're just getting underway, just like what Mike launched the site notify.domains. Now we can start, revisiting these things each week and say, how come that's not growing as fast as we thought? And then get right on you guys.
Well, we've been in stealth for 2 months, just trying to establish the tools and figure out the process. And I know a lot from the domain industry, and I did work for some other people in this. And I'll be honest, Fred at D3 taught me a lot of great management tools and SaaS tools of what to use and what not to use, and that can't be underestimated as far as the importance and how you do things. It's if you're going to keep a lean team, keep everything under control and moving forward. And Sean, again, he's a quiet assassin, and it takes it. You have to find the right partner. Josh can say this. Any of this can say this. Partnerships are difficult. It's like the most difficult thing in the world. And Sean so far has proven to be like a really good person. And the SEO side is crazy. It's a whole world I really had no idea. I mean, the money being spent by companies, we'll get packages of a couple $100,000 to just go acquire backlinks and small websites and anything that can fuel growth. I really didn't know that world. I see the domains. We all see the domains. Like 8 of the top 10 are SEO names that sell on the auctions. And we know what they're using for, but we really don't get to see how they're using it, what they're building out, what amplification a domain like that has. And to truly get into those weeds and understand that really opens up another 20% of the domain sales and 30% of the domain sales that we see, but we don't know how to monetize. So I think that's been the Sean side that I've been really impressed with. And he's just a smart dude. Like, he's quiet, he's smart. He's not going to really say anything negative at all. And sometimes you have to drill out of him a personality that tells you exactly what he's thinking. But it's a really cool side to see.
Well, we're going to wrap it up today. Lay off the painkillers, would you? Hey, okay, we're going to, no, there was something else I was going to say. Something smart. Oh, D3. Yeah, so you guys want to meet me? I'm going to be at the Dominion Conference. That's here, in 2 weeks. But look forward to seeing Fred. There's a lot of folks that are going to be there. I look forward to hanging out with Monty, just to say, Monty, what are you eating? It's not healthy. Now, then also Larry Fisher's going to be there with John Muriello. They're going to talk about that AI transaction, AI.com. That was the buyer broker. Pretty interesting, huh, Shane? You'd like to be part of that as a buying that way. Buyer broker and the selling broker. They're going to talk about that transaction. But I'm actually on a panel with Aaron Maistat, who, I consider him an online friend. I never really hung out with Aaron, but, he owns Symbolics, the very first domain name. And Andre, who is the founder of Nicknames, which is a registrar. And that's something I want to bring up. Actually, Josh, I know you said you may not go to NamesCon. I don't know if I should bring that up. But still, I'm certain you're going to be there. The reason I say that is because you're going to have DNX as a registrar. You got to promote the shit out of that thing. And I want to be there.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to be there.
Okay, so then I'm still going to promote your stuff. Matter of fact, yeah,
I don't think I'm going to be there anyway. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. But you know how I am with promotion. I'm not going to be the guy in your face. I'll do things a little differently.
But it's important. One of the sessions I proposed for NamesCon was about these new registrars, basically not necessarily new, yours would be new, but really just the new tools that registrars are using, trying to make it much better for domain investors, not only providing the tools, whether it's appraisal tools or tools to find the names, but also brokerage services, just thanks to
once you've built out the foundation of everything, right? I mean, like, you look at GoDaddy and then DNX in the next 3 to 4 weeks, once we've integrated with the first 10 registries, that will be automatically will be in 200, 300 plus TLDs. Like there's not going to be that much difference in like the platform itself. In essence, I think I would argue that we'd probably do a bunch of things a lot better than they would. And yet, one is this tiny business, the other is a multi-billion-dollar publicly traded business. So at that point, it all just comes down to marketing and strategy and how much money you're willing to put into building the brand and advertising the product. So yeah, interesting times ahead.
If I can chime in on this, I've had some meetings with some people on the West Coast, and there's some guys that are I don't know how far along they are, but some of the guys are building they're going in to get a registrar for a headless version and just building AI tools so that some of the VCs and other people can manage their domains. There's really no commercial front to it. It's just a back end that I don't think you'll see any advertising at all. It's literally a headless registrar that's just built for AI and APIs, which is it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, there's always new angles that you can go about things, and that's why, like when we were just talking about brokerage and talking about monitoring, it's like there are plenty of different angles and ways that you can operate within a certain, super niche even, to do things differently than what potentially already exists. And both can exist and they can exist successfully. You just need to find your angle. It's just like domain investing as well. It's all about finding angles and then focusing on the ones that work and saying, scrapping the ones that don't.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Yeah, next week we're going to talk a lot about acquisition and selling. But, thanks for joining us, everybody, here on stage. We're not going anywhere. We're every Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. We talk about domain investing, anything domain industry related. But it's fantastic to have, new founders here, developers, builders. It's a lot of the same guys that we know, but still new platforms, new companies, new tools to use. There is a lot, happening in the space, and we didn't even give it a lot of time today. So we'll pick up where we left off next week on the DNX show. And if you need any show links or you want to check out the replays, you can just go to dnxshow.com. Once again, thanks everyone for joining us. You can catch Josh and I next week, same place, same time. Take care of yourself wherever you're at. See you next week.